Hello and welcome back to Refractions. I am Stephen Mallon, your host, and I am very excited that we have the executive director, Erin Hoyt from Filter Photo Festival joining us. So, Erin, hello and thank you.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. So, I think just for everyone and also for my own safety, can you just tell us a little bit about your history with photography
Oh yeah,
all the way
um,
back?
I was like, oh, it kind of goes back. Yeah, I mean, I was really that like cliche kid, Pentax K1000, darkroom when I was 13, yearbook photographer. I mean, it was really just like in the stars since the beginning. So then, when I went to school, I was down at the Miami Herald interning, and I think that's what really clicked with it. And then, was shooting. I lived in the Midwest. I had the all deadpan portraits of my family and deer and stuff. And I was like, I don't know that the photography part's really gonna be my thing. So I just was like, I absolutely adore photography and as a consumer and a collector. And I had a background in production coordinating. So when I came on with Filter year one, so I've been with them for 15 years. I just had this like love for photography, and then also just this really the skills and capability of like running big festivals. So it kind of was a perfect fit. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, tell me a little about Victor. It's on its 15th year, or
So it's 16th year
okay.
this year. So we just had our 15 years last year. And so yeah, we've been around since like 2009. It started as a one-day portfolio review event at Loyola College. And then the second year we went into the multi-day festival format and then continued on to have this be, kind of a robust week of programming, somewhere anywhere between 4 to 5 days. And then about 10 years ago, we opened Filter Space. So we have a physical gallery space where we do exhibitions as well. So that's a little bit of the history of the organization in terms of timeline.
I think that's one of the things that's really unique about your festival is that you actually have like a home,
Yeah.
like there's a permanent address for ongoing exhibitions, which is amazing, but also means that there's a ton of constant work because you never get a break, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely this is the time of year where it's just its busiest. I mean, we're, ramping up the festivals in just less than a month, which is crazy to say out loud. But it's nice having the space. I mean, you really see the gallery as an opportunity to still, stay just really connected to our community and further have exhibiting opportunities for the people in our community as well. So it lets the conversation, keep going year round.
Yeah. So with the festival and programming and gallery, can you walk us through a little bit about like what goes on and who should come and who does come to it?
Yeah, so the festival, it's a real span. So we do work a lot with student engagement, and we also, I mean, it really does span an entire audience. And so it's emerging and mid-career photographers, I would say, primarily fine art and documentary as well. That's kind of a snapshot. But it's really nice because I think unlike other festivals that are similar to us, most of the programming is free and open to the public. So if you sign up for reviews or workshops, and those are the only paid registration. And then during the day we have artist talks and roaming reviews, which is where it's more like we bring a professional in and they just do like kind of a round table with the attendees who are waiting to get their reviews. But that is free and open to the public. So, we do invite students to kind of participate in that. So if they're not feeling like super ready for, purchasing the reviews and having those one-on-one 20-minute sessions, they're able to kind of either observe or participate. And then in the evening, all the programming is free and open. So we have like our featured evening speaker, Kathy Opie this year. And then we have, museum meet and greets with, curator tours and exhibition openings at our space, a gallery walk during the afternoon on Friday. So it kind of like, so the audience, that tends to pay for the registration is going to be more of your, mid-career and emerging photographers who are really looking for publishing and exhibiting opportunities. And then it's really kind of flushed out with, arts patrons and friends of the community. So we like keeping it really open. We really like to see the student engagement as well. We bring these people in, and it's just pretty awesome to be able to be able to keep the doors open in that way too, so that people feel really, that they have that access.
That's awesome. Can you explain a little bit more about what you meant about the setup about the walkthrough with the portfolios? So like, because I've gone to a bunch of these portfolios reviews, and they have like the day where everyone's got the,
Oh,
like
sure,
the
like a
public,
portfolio walk.
the
Yeah.
portfolio walk.
Yeah, so we'll have one of those on Saturday evening. So everyone who participates in the portfolio reviews are invited to, display their work on a table. It's open to, friends and family, people of the community. So again, that program is also free and open. But the people participating, showing their bodies of work, will kind of like man their table and get to talk about their work. It's a nice opportunity because, when you do sign up for reviews, you may not see all of your top selection, or, you book, like a pack of 5, and then you get this kind of more casual way of interacting with the other reviewers. So it is, we've heard success stories from people who were like, I didn't meet that reviewer, but they came by my table during the portfolio walk. It's also really nice because it's more casual than like the one-on-one. So I think that you get to interact in a different way. So even if you got to meet the reviewer in one way, and then you get to see him again in this casual way. So it has a lot of, benefits for the participants. And then we kind of make it like a little closing party. So people, have some food, have some wine, get to close out the week in that way.
Oh, that's smart. That's kind of nice. Yeah, that's a nice way to integrate it. Is actually to do it towards the end. It's like as the.
Yeah, so it's like historically we've always had it on that closing night, which is always fun, and people get to know each other at that point, and so it just kind of, we kind of make it into more of a little party vibe for everyone.
Smart.
Yeah.
Do the festival directors have like their own like Slack? Are you guys in touch with each other about like timing?
Yes and no, like nothing super formal, but yes. I mean, one thing that's really cool and wonderful about this industry is that we're not like total competitors. I mean, I don't think you go into the arts, with that mindset anyways, but there is a lot of acknowledging people's, dates and when they do things. We also share a lot of the community, right? The people who are participating, but then also the people who are doing the reviews. So I think it's for everybody's best interest to sort of support each other, and not try to double up on dates. But and like just support. And we, as reviewers, we have, from Houston Center of Photography and LACP, Griffin Museum. So I know I watched the one with Krista. I did my homework a little bit. That was great. And so we go to each other's events, and like I'm going to review at Photo Nola in December. So it really is a nice community. And then just the friendships and relationships you build when you're like, man, I'm having a month, what was this like for you? So it's really supportive in a lot of ways.
Yeah, those are the people you can reach out to and like, have you ever had this happen?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to know that I mean, we're all here for each other, and so it's nice to have that support for sure.
Definitely. I'm a huge advocate of the portfolio reviews in general. I just think it is such a good structure and environment for both the colleagues, the photographers, to be meeting each other from different aspects of where they are in their career, because some of these people are there, but also are gallery directors at their own school, and there's relationships that get built just from like hanging out on the tours, and then the reviewers, and the
Yeah,
reviewers are also getting to network each other, and it's just
absolutely. No, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was just like emphasizing, for the people coming to do the reviews, this is a networking and, relationship building time for them. A lot of times, they've been in conversations over email, and they have been maybe introduced to each other, but then they get to spend these like 4 to 5 days together. I feel like for us, it really is important to nurture that part of the festival, which is the community building amongst the attendees, and also just amongst the reviewers and the speakers. So we try to make sure that we're, offering a lot of social opportunities, throughout the festival. So we have exhibition openings that always, get to be pretty like, pretty social, where you get to interact with people. And then we have the portfolio walk. So we want to make sure people feel like, it's kind of cool if you think like, oh, once a year in September, I'm going to go back and see my friends.
Exactly. Yeah, there was one review that I went to, and unfortunately the programming got lost somehow, and they didn't have that the after hours kind of connectivity, and it was just like
Yeah.
just the reviews, and then you dispersed.
Yeah.
And I really, I think that all of that other programming combined makes it like such a worthwhile, time and financial investment for everybody. And I've got long-term friends and relationships, because of all the reviews in the past. So,
I appreciate
bravo.
you saying that. Yeah. And I hope people who, hear that you got to put yourself out there on these other, in this way as well. Because it's interesting too. I think people maybe underestimate the social part of these interactions, because, if you're a curator and you're looking for an artist to exhibit, you're probably looking in, 3 to 5 years, right? Of like when you're going to have a show. And so how you interact with your dynamic is also like really important. So I think having those social moments, after sharing the work in that professional way, kind of helps build out the whole experience for like the opportunities that you potentially get. So the more you're just out there, the more you're interacting, like, if you're at the portfolio walk and someone comes that didn't see the work that you signed up with, like, these are all just opportunities. So I'm also just like a huge advocate for the in-person, reviews as well. I mean, I know we had online, but I just love the in-person interactions that you get.
And I think that this is one thing that is interesting also just about the the industry and these reviews. And I've spoken to a number of different executive directors, and I had that vibe too, is that there's something very fulfilling about seeing the energy of the creatives getting together with the optimism and the work. Like, do you feed on that? Because I love it. Like, it makes me
Yeah.
so happy to see it happen.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that of course I'm biased to our festival, but I feel like like, we call ourselves more like boutique size, just because we don't want to be so large where, like, people just feel like they're being pushed around and scheduled around, and it just like has more of a kind of chaotic energy to it. So like, staying like the size that we are and having these, like, the artist talks and the roaming reviews happening, while you're getting reviews, like, it kind of just brings down, kind of like the anxiousness a little bit of this experience. And then, like meet at the brewery before we go to the gallery walk. Like, it's kind of like it's meant to feel as comfortable and social and engaging, as we can possibly make it. But yeah, I think that helps add to people, you know, like, going into this, we have like the festival lounge is what we call it. And that's where we do the talks and reviews, but that's where people kind of gather while they're waiting for their other reviews. And it's cool that, they're sharing their work and they're kind of feeding off of each other as well and their energies. So it is really uplifting to walk through and see people feel so energized and engaged.
It sounds like you've got all of those things kind of like at the sweet spot, like you said. Like, you're not trying to get it any bigger than it is. Like, doing the festival once a year, this amount of programming, this number of reviews, it's like the right level without it becoming monstrous, but also
Sure.
not so small that it feels like it's a waste of time.
Right,
Right?
exactly. Yeah, no, exactly. Like, it's like, where you don't feel like there's not enough going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is, we kind of like this little window and sweet spot. We feel like it adds to the overall experience.
Yeah. Because you were online during COVID as well, right? Like, were you doing the reviews online, or did
We
that just,
did.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, talk about going back to, like, the organizations all coming together, like, or the different festival directors, because I feel like I don't want to like claim the first, but I do feel like we were one of the first because we were in September. And but we tested, like, we kind of figured out our system and like moving online, and we tested it, and then we shared with like a couple other directors, or we got online with them. We're like, oh, this is how we did it. And it was kind of cool that we all kind of got to share that experience. But yeah, for 2020, we were online. And in 2021, we did like a hybrid of some online talks and workshops and reviews. And then 2022 on, we were just fully back in person.
Okay, so it wasn't too. I mean, in the scope of things, like 2 years, it's kind of crazy now that it was, but at the
Yeah,
time it felt like forever. But
right.
um, and so you're back like at because I just looked online. You're like the reviews are sold
Yeah.
out, right?
Yeah. So reviews sold out, which is great and kind of wild. Still have workshop seats available for anyone who was interested. But yeah, we're just about back to the exact level we were pre-pandemic. So it's kind of like a climbing back up, but we're definitely feeling people, wanting that in-person interaction. I think people are really ready to be back, for gatherings.
Very much so. Yeah, that was one of the things that we all, we were missing in our lives was just the art openings and the lectures and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I understand why people are still doing like online reviews, and I understand, the ability for people from all over to be able to participate and they don't have the expense of coming in. But I feel like for us, like it was just so important to get back as fast as we could to in-person gatherings.
I mean, for someone that wouldn't be able to travel to Chicago, like I would just, say like maybe a day of online reviews, but
It gets
um
logistically.
yeah, something to think about. Um you mentioned earlier that you're also a collector.
Yeah.
What do you collect?
Oh, well, photography.
Good.
Um, yeah, I mean, if I can't see too much of my house, but yeah, we collect. I love working with. It's a lot of artists that I've worked with or my husband's worked with. It's a lot of like. I mean, I'm like a sentimental collector, I would say. So, it definitely comes from either artists that I've worked with or met along just like being part of this community. But we've got some, we did just buy a Weston. I've never met him. So, so that's like a one off. But I would say most of the artists that we collect are artists that we work with. So
Well, that's good. Good to
yeah.
hear, I think, for everybody is to know that, on top of the potential insight of having you as a reviewer, you might be a potential, future collector of theirs. So,
Yeah. And I have a piece right now that's been on loan for 2 years that's traveled to um Boston, Atlanta, Boston, and traveling to Richmond, I think now. So it's pretty fun. But yeah. And that was an artist. I mean, talk about that, right? That was an artist that came up as got, signed up for portfolio reviews, was a juror's prize for a group show a few years ago, had a solo show with us 2 years ago, and is now, in like traveling museum shows. So it's kind of like that it really does work. Like I think people like it, you see a lot of this progression, 3 to 5 years of people, being in part of this review process and then kind of seeing how they've like moved up in their career.
exactly. I think you can go back to a lot of people's CV and see that they
Yeah.
were, you know, at this review, critical mass finalists, and they see that there are a number of like, well-established artists that did also go through this process. And
Yeah.
it's good to see.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of somebody like well, like we've had someone be like a review and then like 6 or 7 years later, she's got a show at the Met, So like it's like kind of can't get much more up that ladder, but it's and you stay in touch. It's also really fun, kind of being the size we are. Like we really do get to know our people and stay in touch and help promote and push their careers as well.
Was that a shout out for
For who is this?
Manjari Sharma? Or was that a different
Oh, for the Met show?
yeah.
Oh, it's a different person. It's for
Oh.
Africa. But we love Manjari. So like
Okay.
she taught a workshop for us last year. Yeah, it was like last year. She's wonderful.
Yes.
So
I am honored to say that she was briefly an assistant of mine.
get
Um,
out.
yeah, back in the
Really?
day. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
no way. Oh,
yeah,
fun.
yeah, she
She
was on. She worked for me and a couple other people in New York, and then was also on the board with me at ASMP in New York. And so we were producing some events together. And then the shower series was starting to take off,
Okay.
and we were kind of like nudging, like, you really need to run with this. So
Yeah.
like, don't work for anyone like us anymore, and go with this. Because
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm a big fan. She's such a wonderful like personality and just so engaging and warm to be around. And yeah, we became big fans of hers for sure.
yeah. And she just won that massive grant as well. So I can't wait
I
to
don't
see
think
what
I,
she's gonna be doing.
yeah, I don't know that I saw which grant.
It's the Paula Krasner.
Okay,
I might be butchering the name, but
that's
yeah, take
wonderful.
um what are you doing, or are you like, what's the conversation like with the reviewers and the festival and everything in regards to the NFT rise and
Oh,
fall and AI? And maybe those are two
yeah.
very separate conversations, but um
Yeah. I mean it's hard because like ugh, like I have my own strong opinion about it,
which
so
is
I'm just not for it, I'm just not for it. Like it's fine. Like I don't want to like yuck anyone's yum, but like for me, I'm just like such a diehard for the medium that like the idea of this being so like, so different, like and I don't know, there's still so much to like learn and explore with the medium itself that it doesn't feel like it needs to have like spin-offs quite yet. Um, but I mean, as an organization though, we have like, like had, conversations about it. And we had an artist talk a few years ago that was all about NFTs when it was like on the rise. So I mean, we have like, discussed it and talked about it, but yeah, the NFT thing just seems to have been a bit of a trend and now it's kind of down.
yeah, it hit, the bubble popped, and no one is talking
Yeah.
about creating it or selling it or trying to move it as much. I mean, maybe there are, and I'm just not paying attention, but it's it seems to have lost the
Like,
shiny
but
new thing,
yeah,
the buzz.
yeah.
Oh, um, we went through things so quickly. I'm
Oh gosh,
actually,
okay.
yeah, we got a little bit more time, but what else can you share us about the programming? Like, what's going
Yeah,
on at the festival?
yeah. So at the festival, we still have workshop seats available. So if people are interested in attending, we've got workshops with Carolyn Drake, Raheem Fortune, Aspen Mays, and Jason Lazarus. So Carolyn's going to do a workshop that's all about photo books and her journey with so it's kind of like how you get a photo book together and published, and that's like from her experience, so it's like called photo book publishing from the artist's perspective. And then Raheem Fortune, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's wonderful. He is going to do a workshop that's more about like the long-term documentary practice. He's also going to touch on his experience with publishing, and he's just a wonderful photographer. He's pretty young still, and he's really just come out. He's got two books out. Hardtack just came out by Loose Joints. It's his like documenting the South and documenting communities. So I'm very excited for him. He's also doing an artist talk one of the days, so that's free and open to the public. And then Jason Lazarus is going to do more of like a professional development workshop that kind of just touches about, how do you like when you leave school, like how do you, keep the motivation, keep the community, keep networking, kind of like, and also like how you like build your own after school. And then Aspen Mays is going to do a a darkroom workshop. So like photograms and working. So from anyone with any skill level, that's something that would be fun for everyone.
Oh, so that's a nice like hands-on.
Yeah, we always try to do like one hands-on workshop, like so anywhere from like tintypes, cyanotypes, and this one will be like photograms in the workshop. So those are the workshops. And then of course we'll have the portfolio reviews for 3 of the 4 days, all day. And then the artist talks will have Kelly Connell, Raheem Fortune, Harlan Bozeman, and we'll have one from Chicago Artists Coalition that's all about residencies. And then, like I kind of mentioned previously, like the evening program is meant to be more social and engaging. So we have exhibition receptions, gallery walk, portfolio walk, and then an artist talk with Kathy Opie.
Is it all like just geographically? It's like all, is there like is there a district for like where the gallery is and
Yeah.
everybody, is it all pretty contained?
So the reviews and workshops in the daytime will be at the Columbia College Student Center. So that's downtown. And most people kind of stay like downtown, but then the programming near our galleries in West Town. So nothing's like crazy far from each other. But that would but our gallery is located in the West Town district. So there's a lot of galleries around us, which is really nice. Um, so yeah, we kind of got lucky, like being able to get a space in the West Town district. It's a pretty great, like there's just a ton of galleries just all around us.
Cool. Have you noticed any trends? Like, is there any trends you can like? We were just talking about the NFT kind of the
Yeah.
that's potentially gone, but is there anything else that you're seeing that is either good or bad in the reviews that you might be able to, you know, share with us?
Yeah. Um, Trends. Like I would say, I don't know about like trends as much as like do's and don'ts. Um, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's kind of trends where people really want to print big, and then, but you go to a portfolio review and it's, we kind of advise like maybe bring one at scale or maybe bring, an image of showing it at scale, like what a gallery installation would look like. Because like, you're working with a 6 foot table and you may be traveling with this portfolio. So just kind of knowing, how to make the best of your 20 minutes. People printing on, like fabric, super cool, but again, like how you bring that and show that. And so kind of like adjusting to, the way that reviews are run. Trying to think of like other trends. Nothing that like I feel I haven't done many eye rolls lately, so I I don't know, like nothing that I can that comes to mind that I'm like, oh no, I wish this would stop. Um, but no, I feel, I mean, like I said, mentioned it too, it's like, I love the medium and I just love, the in-person reviews because you're like holding the prints, you're showing the print quality, like all of that, just like, it just, it just, it just is different, than being online. So we always encourage our attendees to bring in, a box of prints, like in a clamshell box that they're going to go through, their body of work. So.
It's so true about that. The 6 foot table scenario is like understanding how to present your work. I've seen photographers come in with like hand trucks with like
Yeah.
9 copies of different books.
Yeah.
And it's just like, this is going to be your first meeting. You cannot bring your entire library
Right.
on your first date. It's
Right.
just, because the amount of time sometimes, and also like, don't bring the precious prints,
Right.
because like telling the reviewer to have to put in the gloves like every
Right.
single time you're touching, it's just like,
Like a no-no.
it's a little bit of a no-no. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I think if like again, if you have something that's really precious, if you're working with unique pieces, like bring one and then like bring images of the rest because people are going to be holding them and you don't like 20 minutes goes by fast and you don't want anything to be fussy. You don't want gloves putting on, taking, prints out of plastic sleeves, going through your library. Like you want to make it as tight and, efficient and also leave room for the reviewer to speak. Like, which it's kind of what, it's what you're paying for. It's like what you traveled for. It's what you want to know. So you have to like measure and, make sure that you're being efficient with your time. I mean, that's another reason why we do the roaming reviews. Yeah, so people can observe how other people are doing it and they can also like practice, on other people. Um, but yeah, I think like 20, like I would say go home, practice, set a timer for 20 minutes and like, practice on your friend or partner. So
someone willing.
yeah, someone will.
Someone's willing to sit down and listen to the extended elevator pitch of, yeah, how this flows and everything, and yeah, just so you can cover what you want to address.
Right.
um so the roaming, that was the thing I wasn't totally clear on. So the roaming so people, the artists will be sitting down at kind of like you know, um, like horseshoe tables, and then people can all, and then
It's kind
one
of like,
reviewer, or go
yeah,
ahead.
so yeah, so it's like we have round tables in the festival lounge. And then for 2 hours each day, we'll have two roaming reviewers come in. So they're different from the roster of reviewers that we have, but it's also, Museum of Contemporary Photography, High Museum of Atlanta. So there's still, really prominent reviewers. But it's kind of like a first come, first serve that, that like and it's also meant for people to totally engage. Like other attendees can, talk about, like share their opinion. So it's meant just kind of a roundtable discussion. So it's definitely different than the 20-minute review. But again, it's nice to be able to like observe or participate or, however, whatever level of interaction that you would like to take on. But it's intentionally casual.
Nice. Yeah, I like the sound of that as like the third, component of the portfolio reviews, where it's like you still got the intimate, you still got the walkthrough, but then there's also this like, 4-to-1, 5-to-1 environment, because like you said, the people are going to be different, the conversation can be different, and other people also get to hear and see and sometimes give also their feedback on what they're seeing. Um, it sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, if you're, and especially if you're a first time, participant, and you're like, if you're nervous and you're like, well, how do other people do it? It's like, here's your front row seat. So like, how do people talk about their work? How,
Yep.
like how they're interacting. So it's a nice opportunity. And again, we have, we work with high school students as well, and they come in and participate, and sit and, stay for the artist talks. So it's kind of just meant to be pretty open.
Do the students get to show their work?
Yeah, so we have a relationship with a couple high schools here, and they get their own reviews as well. So they get to sit down for so about 10% of our reviews are all between college and high school students are reserved for student scholarships.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's such a great opportunity for the students.
And reviewers love it. Like because it changes the conversation, because I feel like a lot of attendees come in and they kind of know what opportunities that they're seeking. And then, you bring in a high school student and it's like, I just want to talk about photography, like, and then, how maybe editing, sequencing, and some advice on like what, how to take this body of work forward. And we let the reviewers know, like, well, this at this time, this is the student and they're from here, and this is the level of, education where they're currently at. But I mean, we had Anna Alexander from Wired magazine, and she gave a high school kid an assignment. She was like, go out and photograph the marathon. And so the student was super excited. And, it's not a lot of, they don't get a lot of these opportunities to meet with like such a range and diverse, group of people, covering, from publishing and, curators and gallery directors. So I mean, all around people seem to really love it. So the students get this awesome time, the teacher loves it, and the reviewers love it. So it's been good. We've been doing that for a while now.
That's really great. Like, Photoville's got some, they work with the educators and they bring the educators in for some of the shows and everything, but I haven't heard of it at the reviews in any other festivals. So bravo.
Oh, thank you.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it brings in a fun energy, and it's not overwhelming. It's not like a ton of students, and so it doesn't like break the ratio or, balance. It's just like we give them, this opportunity, and a few students sign up for, a couple reviews each. Um, like I said, I think it shakes things up a little bit so that the conversations shift and change. And then, people seem to really enjoy that aspect of the festival.
Makes sense. I would. I did. There was the one of the we talked about this a little bit in the green room. You also have like a long-term review process, right? Like
The critique group.
critique group. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So we have so right now the registration is open for the critique group. It's going to be 6 months long. We meet once a month, and every other month we meet with a guest. So the guests are Rania Matar, Richard Rinaldi, and then Asha Aymanville, who's the curator at Museum of Contemporary Photographer. So I will be hosting the critique group. So I'll be, kind of hosting each session, but then every other will be a different reviewer just to kind of come in and give, like a different perspective. And if you are attending the festival, we're going to do like a little fun critique group meetup so that, we can meet in person. You're not required, it's not going to be its own session, so it's not like a requirement of it. But if you are going to be in person, we'd like kind of have the opportunity for us to all kind of gather and get to meet each other. And then the review session, the critique group itself will be online for the following 6 months.
Very cool. So you've got a gallery, a festival, you've got the ongoing critique.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, we've been doing it for a while. I mean, I know not as like still young in some ways, but that we've had the gallery for 10 years. We'll just be having it for 10 going into 10 years. Something also kind of interesting about our gallery is that we do like we have an open call for exhibition proposals annually. So it'll be like either December or January coming up. But we put together a panel of photo professionals, and it's always a previous exhibiting artist, a museum curator, a gallery director, and then our staff. And we go through and we like look at all the proposals, and they're kind of more of an advisory panel. So we just kind of talk through the different proposals. And then as staff, we come up with the next year to year and a half exhibition calendar. So I find that at Filter Space, like it is my biggest point of pride, I would say, is the exhibition programming, because it is really wonderful to see so many artists, go through this program and then really, really go on with their careers. So it's, we have like, it's a 900 square foot gallery. It's nothing terribly intimidating. It's really great for emerging photographers who want that professional experience. And want to like be moving up. And it's a nonprofit space, so it comes with a lot of mentoring and help and support. We pay our artists wage stipend. So yeah, and trying to get more money for production support out there, grants people. But yeah, it's just been such a wonderful 10 years, having the space, the physical space, and keeping with the year-round programming.
It's so cool. So talking about the submissions, and how important is it, like with the writing? Like, what's the review process? Are you looking at the images first and then taking a look at the statement? Like, what's the,
Yeah.
how good does the photographer need to write, or like get a writer to like put together the thoughts and the curatorial decisions of the show in advance?
Yeah, it really depends on who's reviewing, because I know people like it's totally like a personal preference. I personally look at images first, and then read. I mean, I don't think, like to me, the imagery is really important, and I don't think, like a statement's going to save the work, but it enhances the work. So I always try to see where my interest is as I'm doing any kind of review. But that's totally different. I mean, I've talked to so many reviewers who are like, oh, I read the statement first, and if it grabs me, I look at the work. I mean, we're for next year, we're thinking of doing like a writing critique group. So like a writing workshop, because writing is really important. And I find that, my best advice to artists writing an artist statement are just like, be clear and concise. Like, I think that somewhere, I don't know, why it got so flowery sometimes, or so like, it's like written with a feather ink pen, and you're like scrolling out this artist statement. Like, you need to know that the words are the support of the work, and it's not meant to be the main thing, right? I mean, but that's just my I know everyone's so different. That's just my personal opinion. But I like when someone can tell me, about the work. Also, like, steer clear of like, I used this camera with this during this time of day. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have to be anything technical, or like how you've created the work. It's just, or don't tell people how they should feel about the work in an artist statement. That's like, it's meant to provoke the sense of loneliness. You're like, is it? I don't know. Is it? You know what I mean? Like, I have my own whole life and experiences. Like, everyone's gonna come to it as a viewer. But if there's something like you don't know about the work, that, you know, is important to know as you're viewing the images. And that is the best recipe for like an artist statement.
That is such good advice. I think it was in the artwork book that Heather Darcy wrote, where it was also just kind of saying like tone down on the art speak, you know,
Yeah,
just like don't
like,
embellish too much.
yeah, you don't, everyone needs a Tim Gunn edit on their on their artist statement, you know? I feel though, like, I mean, just to plug filter another time. But I really feel like what happens is you go to these schools and everyone has their own curriculum and program. And it's kind of like you get out of school and it's like you're at the top of this widest end of the funnel, you know, and you've been taught, you know, a photography program is going to lean on, you know, commercial work versus an art school that's going to kind of lean on, you know, concept and, you know, like it's gonna, so like you kind of like, depending on where you go and what the curriculum is, you're gonna, but you get to the bottom of the funnel and you realize the real world is very similar, you know, like, and it's not that wide. So I mean, talking, I mean, you also have to imagine that, you know, people who are reading statements, they're reading a lot of them, right? So they're not going to want to just read something so long. But yeah, I mean, I think when you know, with Filter, you know, these sort of professional development practices year round and during the festival, like all of our programming or educational programming is really meant to be this, like the bridge of like, when you get out of school and you want to be a working artist career, or I'm sorry, working career artist, like how do you make that journey? And so it's kind of like this bridge of like, okay, here's, you know, access to equipment and this is where you go. And this is really how you write an artist statement. And so we try to like, you know, bring that all together.
Very nice. We have covered so much and we're not out of time, but I feel like we've got, you know, we've gotten through plenty, but is there anything else that you would like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I think I just appreciate everyone who out there is listening. I appreciate your time. This is really a great opportunity to get to chat more about Filter. You know, if you're still free September 18th to 21st and want to come to Chicago and enjoy the most beautiful month in Chicago, you know, let us know, come and sign up. You know, it's a pretty great experience and we feel really lucky to be, you know, in our 16th year and going so strong.
Won't be able to this year, but possibly next year.
Yeah, let us
Yeah,
know. We'd love to have you.
that'd be amazing. Well, Erin, thank you so much. This has been really insightful. I hope everyone feels the same and enjoyed listening. And uh, Erin, yes, I guess I hopefully will see you in New York or Chicago
Yeah.
or elsewhere at one of the festivals. And
Yeah, I'm always buzzing around. So if you're going to be at APAD or Perry Photo, let me know.
I will do that. All right. Thank you so much.
All right, thank
All right.
you. Thanks so much. Bye.